Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing games with friends and families can create. Today we'll be looking at Oceans from North Star Games. Now this is a digital app for your phone. It is free to play. There is a fair amount of additional content available if you want to invest in that. We'll go through the tutorial really quick. So Oceans is a reincarnation of the evolution. If you play the evolution, basically it's the same concept of you are playing traits to create species, and you can add traits to that species or create new species with new traits. Now these traits can be used to forage for food or hunt for food. That is the base concept of both games. Get 4 bonus. So the first player gets 4 points to start with. So slight disadvantage to being first player, so they compensate you with points. Now it's suggesting that filter feeder as my first card. So we'll play that. I'll show you what. Okay, and then it wants me to feed. So filter feeder. Okay, so what's telling me is the goal of the game is to collect population. If the population is worth points, at the end of the round you are getting to age, and those age go in your bag, and that's when they count as points. So there, now I have 5 points. I can discard cards I don't want at this point, and basically redraw back up to my hand limit of 6. But it's suggesting I do not discard any cards. Now I can look at the traits that are available by clicking. Okay, so this one can feed twice. Okay, now what's telling me is if you look at the top of the opponent's card or the bottom of my card, you can see that green is feeding its ability to feed from the reef. Red is its ability to feed by attacking other creatures, and yellow, I'm sure it'll explain in a minute or at some point. So it's attacking me twice, getting food, stealing 2 food from me, then it's aging. So it wants me to play a defensive trait. So if I go in and I click on this, it'll tell me what it does. There we go. Aging +1. May not be attacked when species has a population of 5. So as long as I keep my species well fed, so if I have 5 fish on there, it cannot be attacked. So I'm going there, then it's going to want me to feed. So yes, as it said in the text of that ability, it increases my aging, so I age 2 instead of 1. But that keeps me still at 5. So he cannot attack that creature back. And I'm up to 7 points, so it's a good way to increase your point by increasing aging, but you can risk starvation by having to age more than you have fish remaining. Okay, so it's creating a new species rather than adding to its existing species, and that's a symbiotic one, so that one will basically get food whenever the species next to it feeds. So since he can't attack me, he has to feed from the ocean. From the reef, rather. Okay. So more species generally means you get to age more, you get more points, but they're also more vulnerable. Whereas I can age just as much because of my trade allowed me to age extra with only 1 species. Okay, so now it wants me to play a whale cleaner to the right on my filter feeder, and this is another one that's actually, let's kind of look at what it does. It's a little, I'm working with a very small screen, so it's a little hard for, normally I'd have this in my hand, I could just do it with my thumb, it's pretty easy, but because I'm recording, I'm trying to keep a stationary camera. It's a little bit finicky. Nothing wrong with the app in that regard, it's just because of my setup. So basically the whale cleaner gains food whenever the species closest to it feeds. That species has to be a certain size. Yeah, so as long as this has 3 or more, it's gonna feed. Okay, normally a species would lose any population that exceeds its population limit. And actually, it's a kind of severe penalty. You don't just lose that one. I believe you lose quite a bit. But filter feeder, if we go into the text, which I'm sure it'll ask us to do, is immune to overpopulation. So that 3 points for the round. That's not bad. It's like ramps up as you go. So early on, 3 points is pretty good. Skip discard. Okay, so they played a defensive trait on their tentacled species. It's attacking my filter feeder. Okay. So it's down to 0 population. It doesn't go extinct yet. I believe that at the aging phase, during my aging phase, after my turn, it will go extinct if it doesn't have food to age. Wants me to play bottom feeder. What is bottom feeder? Gain 2 when the species to its right is attacked. Okay, that's an interesting tactic. So it gave me added ability that I could get food if the creature to its right, which is this creature up top, gets attacked, and it wants me to try attacking that. Come on. There we go. Okay, yes, it wants me to discard the filter feeders, so let's do that. That makes sense. So leeching, it kind of ignores the defensive abilities, and that happens before the feeding phase. So that's clever. So he used the leech to reduce my population to the point where the tentacle creature could attack. And he gets 3 points. Create a new species with a parasitic trait. So it wants me to basically play this here. So I'm feeding off of him, and he's going to feed off me, and my filter feeder will not be forced to go below 5 population. So you got the primary reefs, you got Ocean 1, Ocean 2, you got your species and its population. You could probably click on any of these to get more information. Okay, so that was the end of my turn. Okay, now it's going to talk about the unique element of oceans. So this wasn't an element that existed in Evolution, at least not in the base game, but this is new to Oceans. It is unique cards. So one of the biggest complaints with Evolutions, well, it's a really great game. People tended to complain that it got a little samey. So if you played a lot with the same people, they tend to find certain traits they like and play those all the time. And there wasn't much to change it up. This adds the deep deck, which is unique, a deck of all unique cards with really nice art, and they have all unique abilities. They can be pretty expensive to play, but they give you a nice thing that only you could ever do. So it wants me to look at the deep deck. Okay, Leviathan is good for... Oh, makes me immune to attack and gives me a huge ability to attack. That's great. Filter feeder. It's just a better version of the filter feeder that I already have. So it can't overpopulate. Can store a lot of extra fish. Or I could just draw 3, select 1 out of the 3 if I don't like either of those. It's suggesting Leviathan, which I agree. It's really nice attack. That would actually go really well with any of mine. But okay, let's try this transparent. What does transparent do? May not be attacked or leeched if there's population. Okay, so it's basically saying the population of the reef is running low, so this is not going to be that effective. It's a good card to discard right now. Okay, so its parasite couldn't feed because my parasite didn't have any food for it to feed from. Your opponent failed. Okay, so it's doing desperate actions to keep as many species as alive. But because its parasite did not have any food for it to age, it went extinct, it starved. So the reef is empty. So if you look at these cards, not only do they have, the basic text, they have in the top right how many fish. So you can play it as a card to increase your abilities, or you can use it to migrate fish from one of the other oceans back into the reef, so you can feed. Which is what it was suggesting I do, which makes perfect sense. So I'm going to do this. A parasite should feed off his tentacles, or... Oh no, because I believe the tentacle had a defensive trait that kept me from attacking it. Oh well, I lost a fish. So, blocked by the transparent... Yeah, and that's why I said the transparent made it immune from leeching. So it wants me to try to draw another deep card. Okay. After each... This ambush is really good I believe if you have lots of species, and there's a lot of fish in the reef. Advanced Eyes is not too bad. It's pretty cheap. It only costs 1 fish. But nobody has deep traits yet, so it's not that great. So it wants me to draw 3 and pick 1. This blubber is amazing for my filter feeder, so I can store a lot of extra food. Okay, so it's just a better version of Parasite. And on the right, extra traits are awesome. That's pretty awesome, but the blubber is what they're suggesting because it does work well with what I'm doing right now. Another tentacle trait, so he can feed 3 times with that species. It's suggesting to get a Predator trait, which is the Apex Predator, for my leech species. Okay, so basically, it has no abilities, but it adds some attack ability and some defense. Makes me harder to hit, and it wants me to attack this one. No deep, because you can always draw 1 deep card a turn, but they do stick in our hands, and I don't get to draw as many cards. So basically, I played an attack card, so they added some defense as oh, nice. Okay. Cambrian Explosion. So we emptied 1 ocean. So this is the first. This goes into stage 2 of the game, in which we now can play deep cards. We can also play 2 traits per turn, which is awesome. Doubles the aging speed, and there will be text in the ocean that now becomes active. So it's just kind of repeating what it just said in the rules. What is the actual scenario card? Abundance traits with gain. Get it +1. Okay. So now is where you can get a lot of points coming in. Okay, so it doesn't want me to do the whale cleaner anymore. I don't like discarding traits if I don't have to, but that's what it wants me to do. It wants me to make this a super predator. So this can basically attack anything, and it cannot be attacked whatsoever. So we have to migrate fish back to an ocean, and it wants me to do ocean 2. The logic behind that is because it wants me to attack and not feed from the ocean. So why put food available in the reef for my opponent? So it wants me to go here so that it can get food off of my Apex Predator when it attacks this nice juicy target. Okay, I overpopulated. So if I overpopulate, you lose half your population back to the ocean, and I'm going to put it back into the second ocean. And I just got a ton of points because I got extra aging on my things, and aging is increased by 2 because of the Cambrian explosion. So okay, we'll discard whale cleaner. Yeah, fine, we don't need a whale cleaner anymore. Let's click that, discard, and then we get to draw back up. Hopefully we get some good things. My opponent has a choice: either migrate fish or attack. Well, they migrated a lot of fish. Okay, so that's an important element. They emptied Ocean 2, which triggers the end of the game. And means there's only one more round. So they get to forage. Got lots of food. And then we tally what points we had in our bag plus any points remaining on our fish. And I won! Which is not a big surprise, since it'd kind of be dumb if the AI told me exactly what to do and would not let me do anything else, and I didn't win, but so no surprise, I won. So that is the tutorial for Oceans. It's a pretty straightforward game. I'll give you a fuller review of my opinions of the game after I've played the main game. Then hopefully I'll get into some expansions and so forth after that. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check us out on other social media such as Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to like and subscribe.